Yo guys, this is Ryan, and one of the videos I'm gonna make is tell you why I feel patriotic towards American people and American country, but not US government. But as I was trying to formulate the ideas of what should I be talking about in terms of like American culture and why I feel patriotic towards the country, it always came down to a feeling of acceptance and less of a prejudice towards the racism and everything else. And every time I try to come up with the idea to talk about it with you guys on this vlog, I always end up talking more about the lack of the racism kind of in the United States, which a lot of people are gonna disagree with me, but it's from my personal perspective, and I end up talking about it for 8 minutes straight. So that's what I want to make this video about, is actually the lack of the racism, the lack of the intolerance. As much as a lot of people want to claim that there is a huge intolerance in this country, there's a huge, there's something evil out there that doesn't want you to succeed. That we're all racist pigs and everything is racist and we need to take care of themselves. I would like to put that my rebuttal towards it. But I want to do it from a standpoint of the freaking foreigner that came to this country 13 years ago. I am a United States citizen right now and I feel great towards my fellow Americans. But the thing is I want to talk to you about is the lack of racism from my family history. The number one is we were born in USSR, in USSR, Republic of Uzbekistan. Republic of Uzbekistan was predominantly Muslim before it kind of got taken by USSR. But in that time, during USSR, and as much as I would like to talk down on socialism and that it doesn't really work in the grand scheme of things, and I actually made a video about why I don't think socialism works, I want to tell you one thing, that the Soviet Union actually focused on the tolerance of the Republic of the Nations of Religions. And what happened is in the place that we lived in, is which is called Samarkand, we had, I kid you not, in my 36 people group, 36 classroom, there were at least 20 to 25 different nationalities, different religions. Everything clashed together to some extent, but there weren't any hate crimes, not a lot, but there were some individual places where they were. So what happened is in USSR, yes, there was some bit of a prejudice from one side to the other. European would say something on the Muslims, and the Muslim would say something back on the Europeans. It's always been like that. When you're getting raised in one sort of culture, some sort of religion and stuff, things that you kind of not even I would say place in a box, but you actually get raised with a certain values, norms, and regulations on what is right and what is wrong, and then you see a different culture right next to you that don't value a few things that you value in your culture as much, and vice versa. And obviously there will be a bit of those toss-ups, but they weren't scary at all. There weren't protests of any people, any races or anything else saying, give us handouts, give us the separation, give us a division. They weren't like that. They were a little bit. And then when USSR fell apart, what happened is government of Uzbekistan started blaming everything on USSR, on Russians, and a lot of Russians left. There were some hate crimes. There were some crimes based on that. There were a few people that broke into Christian European houses and slit their throats. A few Muslims did that. So my father was terrified of that, legitimately terrified for his family, and we fled to Russia and will end up living under Volgograd, under the city called Kalach-na-Donu. In that place, we were Uzbek people. We were not Christian. We were considered kind of Muslims. And the reason why is because half of my blood is Russian, half of my bloodline is Armenian. And it's a half and half, 50-50 between the two. Both are Christian. One is more like Catholic, the other one is Orthodox, but I was raised, I would say, predominantly by Russian family. I wear the cross for a reason. But we were still considered, all those Uzbeki people came in. And the amount of prejudice, the jealousy, the intolerance we faced from the Russian people coming in there. We were escaping a Muslim country just to come to Russia, just to be prejudiced about the country we came from. Not even our religion, not even our race or bloodline. We were prejudiced against the country we came from. Okay? Oh, you came from this country, but get the hell out of here, peasant. Okay? That's how badly we were treated. We had to prove our bloodline from Russian standpoint just so we could get into really nice school. Just so I could get into good school, we had to prove our bloodline and our last name and everything else like that. And that school rejected gypsies. That's what I was living with. Oh, you know how people relate to my sister? That girl from Uzbekistan. They didn't call her by her name. No. None of that was there. Okay? I was afraid to tell me where I was from because of the prejudice. Now I'm coming to the United States. And I look like a Mexican to some extent. And guess what? Not a single white person actually assumed I speak Spanish. They actually asked me where I'm from. Not a single one. And I'm not saying that the whites are perfect or something else. A Hispanic were talking Spanish to me. They thought I'm actually one of them, which is pretty awesome in my opinion. But at the same time, I am not one of those who made the freaking stupid ass video on a BuzzFeed saying, "Oh, I feel offended as a foreigner because people don't realize where I'm from. People don't realize my roots and everything else." No, people will make generalizations. People will make assumptions, and it's our nature. Please deal with the fan. My air conditioner start working. So there'll be a little bit about kissing, but let's keep going with the point. So, with that said, I have never been rejected from the job, like what happened in Uzbekistan and in Russia, based on my accent. I was able to find a job in the United States 2 months after I came to this country with no knowledge of English at all. I was able to graduate and work 2 jobs. And from the help of my family, I was able to graduate from university with a $1,500 credit card debt. No student loans, period. I was able to get hired with the top 15 Fortune companies and sell for them and make a lot of money. Do you really think I feel like I'm being placed against? I feel being prejudiced against based on my immigration status, based on my predominant language, okay? And let's be honest here. Always, for some reason, United States hands, government, not the people, not you and me, brother, but in terms of like a government, do you agree with Vladimir Putin? Do you support him or do you condone him? Russia. And let's be honest here, American government always got a bit of a prejudice towards the Russia. Do you think I ever felt that for a moment? No. The only thing I could have felt is, "Oh, pirogi, you like to drink vodka." And yes, it can get annoying when people ask you, "Do you like to drink vodka since you're from Russia?" But fuck yeah, I do love to drink it. It's a stereotype, and stereotypes are there for a reason. And I don't feel like I'm being prejudiced against in this country. This is the first country out of 3 that I lived in that I feel accepted, that I feel like I'm a part of something, that I feel that I get appreciated based on the culture and the views that I have, based on what's going on in my head and my intelligence instead of whatever happens. So when the people say I am not succeeding based on the color of my skin, based on the religion that I have, based on yada yada yada, I call bullshit on that, because I came into this country with no knowledge of English at all whatsoever, and I was able to adapt. One of my best friends is Muslim. He came to this country, and 1 month later he got into the job where he was making 50,000-60,000 a year. Okay? It's a hard work that matters. It's not I don't know. A lot of people say there's a systemic racism. There's something systemic that comes on crackling down on you and beating you to the ground and all of the other stuff. And I do not agree with that. Yes, I do agree there's a bit of a prejudice. Yes, I do agree with the when you try to fit in a lot of different groups with the different moral sets and values, there's always going to be a toss-up between the two. There's always going to be a bit of an infighting between the two. But at the end of the day, that's what makes us better, that's what makes us smarter, that's what makes us more aware of the other cultures, and so on and so forth. That's what gives us different perspectives. That's why I'm so far against the freaking far right part of the group in the United States. And I'm also against the far left part of the group in the United States as well. I'm more of like a line in the middle, because that is the best way to do it. That's when you can get a perspective from the two different groups and be able to formulate your opinion. That's why I like to be a little bit more independent in your thinking. And I do feel like in the United States, the people here are freaking wonderful, amazing people. I've never been blatantly prejudiced against the color of my skin, against my religion, against my values, against my goofy accent, against anything. And I'm so grateful for that. You guys have no idea. But I do feel like for some reason our government likes to put us in the little boxes. Because once we put in a box, we can always find another box out there instead of uniting. Okay? It's really, really difficult to build a castle with the bricks fighting each other, right? And that's what I feel like. I feel like, oh, I'm a Republican, I am a conservative, I am a Democrat, I'm a progressive, I am this, I am that, I am this. I freaking hate labels. And I hate labels because they prevent us from developing ourselves intellectually, from developing and incorporating a little bit more from the other side perspective. And don't get me wrong, like personally right now, currently, the way the world works, the way that we are policing a free speech, the way that we are knocking down on the conservatives, knocking down on people, I tend to align myself. If we have Republicans and Democrats, and there's a middle, this is Democrats, this is Republicans, and I'm in the middle, I have a tendency towards, a little bit towards the right at the moment. And I do believe that because it is just laughable how people like to come out from the standpoint of a freaking victim and blame everything else but themselves about the failures that they're having. I'm sick and tired of that. So that's my 2 cents, guys. Sorry if I was yelling and ranting a little bit today, but that's it. Thank you, and до свидания.